wish you the best in your upcoming, BECE. Now, this is the question. That's question 1A. Mr. Boabin, a regional best farmer, has 1,800 bags of rice in stock for sale. In January, he sold 2/3 of it. In February, he sold 3/4 of what was left. Now, the I, which is a preamble for these questions, alpha and beta, the preamble is, what fraction of the stock did he sell in February, that is alpha, and in January and February, that is beta. Then we come to the next questions. So now let's begin. So that is going to be question 1A, 1A, I, alpha. So question numbers are very, very important when it comes to, examinations. Always try to write the question numbers to avoid, losing precious marks. So now let's begin. So we have to find the fraction of the stock he sold in February. Now, this is what we have to know. In terms of fractions, the total fraction is going to be 1. Now, in the actual sense, the total number of bags is 1,800. I mean, that is here. But in terms of fraction, this 1,800 is equal to 1. So we can say that the total fraction is equal to 1. So we have total fraction that is equal to 1. Now, this is what we have to know. In January, he sold 2/3 of it. That means January is equal to, 2/3. He sold 2/3 of it. That means we have to, deduct 2/3 from 1 to see the remaining number of bags in terms of fractions. Now, this is what we have to know. In February, he sold 3/4 of what was left. So, first of all, we have to get what was left after January, and then we look for what will be left after February. So, let's get what was left after January. Now, this was sold in January. So, to get what was left after January, we just have to subtract 2 on 3 from 1. Remember, 1 is the total, fraction. So this is going to be the fraction left after January. And that's going to be 1 minus 2 on 3. So we are subtracting 2 on 3 from 1. The reason is that the total is 1, and now we have used 2 on 3 in January. So after January, it will be left with the remainder. And that is what we're going to get. So now, we have to find the LCM. Because you are subtracting, we can take this one to be out of 1. So that we know that they are all fractions. So we have to find the LCM for 1 and 3. And obviously, it's going to be, 3. So 1 goes into 3 times. We multiply by this one to get 3 here. Minus 3 goes into 3, 1 by 2. That's going to be 2. So we have 3 minus 2, which is 1 on 3. But that's going to be the fraction, left after January. Now, let's go back to the question. This part is very, very important. In January, he sold 2/3 of it. In February, he sold 3/4 of what was left. This was what was left. That was, 1 on 3. But we are saying that in February, he sold 3/4 of this. So what are we going to do? 3/4 of this one. This is what we are talking about. So 3/4 of this is going to be, let me get that one here. 3/4 of this is going to be 3/4 times 1/3. So let's get that one here. So this is going to be the fraction spent in January. So we have 3 on 4 of, 1 on 3. I should know that 3 on 4 of 1 on 3 means 3 on 4 times 1 on 3. So this is just a simple, multiplication that we're going to do. We can even do cancellations here. 3 can cancel this one. It can also cancel this. So we have 1 on 4 times 1 on 1, which is going to be 1 on 4, because 1 times 1 is 1 and 4 times 1 is 4. So this is the fraction that was spent at the end of February, or in February. So that is the fraction. Let's get to the next question. And the next question is asking for the fraction of stock he sold in January and also in February. So what fraction of the stock did he sell in January and February? So that means we want the total. So this is going to be a simple question. So let me write that one here. That is question 1, A, I, beta. So that is it. Now that we know January and that of February, the total is going to be the sum of the fraction spent in January and the fraction spent in February. So that's going to be simply 2 on 3 plus 1 on 4. Remember, 2 on 3 is for January and 1 on 4 is for February. You just want their sum or the total. So you have to find the LCM, and that's going to be 12. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 is going to be 8. So we have 8 here. 4 goes into 12. 3 times 1 is going to be, 3. So we have 11. 8 plus 3, that's going to be 11 on 12. So that's the fraction, spent altogether for January and February. Let's get our next question solved. So now the next question is talking about this one. How many bags of rice were left unsold by the end of February? Now let's get the next question. That is question 1A. We are talking about this question. How many bags of rice were left unsold by the end of February? So in this case, we want the actual number of bags left at the end of February. We don't want the fraction. We want the actual number of bags. Unlike the first two that we were just looking for the fractions. So now how do we do this one? Since we want to find the total, the actual number of bags, we have to know the total number of bags in this case, because I'm going to use that one here. And that is 1,800 as given in the question. Now, how do we proceed to find the number of bags left unsold by the end of February? Now, we know that February and January combined, Mr. Boabin used or spent 11 on 12 of the total number of bags. So that means that if we want to get the number of bags left after February, then we have to subtract 11 on 12 from 1. So this is how I'm going to do that one. Now let's get the fraction of bags left after February. And how do we get that? We're going to subtract 11 on 12 from the total number of bags in terms of fractions, and that is going to be 1. So it's going to be 1 minus 11 on 12. You should know the reason why we are subtracting 11 on 12 from 1. Because we want to get the fraction of bags left after February. And now 11 on 12 is for both February and January. So to get the fraction left after February, we have to subtract this 11 on 12 from 1. And that is why we are doing that. Now we should know that this is also over 1, so that we know that they are all fractions. So now the denominator is going to be, 12, the LCM. So now 1 goes into 12, 12 times 1 is going to be 12, minus 12 goes into 12, 1 times 11 is going to be 11. So we have 1 on 12. So this is the fraction left after February. But we don't want the fraction left after February. Read the question well. How many bags of rice were left unsold by the end of February? So we want the actual number of bags, not the fractions or the fraction. So now that we know the fraction after February, we just have to multiply by the total number of bags, which is 1,800. And that will give us the answer that we are expecting. So this implies that the number of bags left after February is equal to 1 on 12 times 1,800. Now we can simplify this expression. 6 can go into 12 2 times. It goes into 18 3 times. Now we can still simplify, because we're going to get 1 on 2 times 300. We know that 2 can go into SF 1 time. It goes into 30 15. So we're going to get 150 bags. So that's the number of bags left after February unsold. Let's simplify the next question. That is question 1B. So we have 1B here. We have a very long expression here. That is 4 into bracket 3 exponent 4 divided by 3 exponent 2 plus 10 minus 3 into bracket 5 minus 2 all raised to the power 2 plus 30 minus 2. So that's a very long expression. But with the help of the correct order of operation, we can simplify. So we are going to use PEDMAS or BEDMAS or any other acronym that you want to use here. We just have to use the correct order of operation. So I'm using PEDMAS, where P stands for parenthesis or bracket. So when you come here, we have some brackets here, this and that. So that means I have to simplify the ones in the bracket before we move on to E, which is exponents. So now, let me tackle this bracket. So that means I have to maintain this 4 out. Now in the bracket, we have 3 exponent 4 divided by 3 exponent 2. They have the same basis, so I can use the loss of indices here. I'll just have to take one of the bases, then I'll subtract their exponents. That is according to the loss of indices. We come to this one, we have 10 minus, let me come to the next bracket. Now in the bracket, we have 5 minus 2, which is easy. That is going to be 3. Remember, it is raised to the power 2 plus 30 minus 2. So this is what we have. We can still simplify this one. So that's going to be 4 into bracket 3 exponent 2, because 4 minus 2 is 2. So we have plus 10 minus 3. Now, we know that 3 exponent 2 is going to be, 9. So we have plus 30 minus 2. So this is what we have at the moment. We can still simplify. Now we can move on to the exponent to simplify this exponent. So that's going to be 4 into bracket 3 exponent 2 is going to be 9. So you see, I didn't multiply this 4 by 3 to get 12. The moment you do it like that, it means you didn't use the correct order of operation. So you have to simplify exponents before you do multiplication. So that is why I didn't multiply this 4 by 3. Take note of that. So now I have 4 times 9 plus 10 minus, you see, here I can multiply this, 3 by 9. So that's going to be negative 27, and we have the negative sign there already. So you have plus 30 minus 2. Let me multiply this 2 guys too. So 4 times 9, that's going to be 36 plus 10 minus 27 plus 30 minus 2. So for addition and subtraction, we just start from the left, then we simplify. So it's going to be 36 plus 40, and that's going to be 46. So you have 46 minus 27 plus 30 minus 2. So 46 minus 27, and that's going to give us 19. So you have 19. Now, plus 30, I'm just trying to do it bit by bit so that you won't get confused. So you have 19 plus 30, and that's going to be 49. We have 49 here. Now, minus 2, and easily you're going to get 47. So that's the answer to this expression.